Here is the worst advice that I received when I started out on this journey of evolving, transforming, and trying to build something. And I want to share them with you today to save you a lot of headaches and a lot of time. And what actually works, anytime you make a big decision to do something different and be different, here's what you can expect. So here we go. The worst advice that I got was this: the people will just open doors for you. They will just automatically open these doors. And I wish I could tell you that I'm sitting here in front of you because I had the generosity of so many people rooting for me and saying, here you go, here's your path forward. I wish that I could tell you that someone just saw me, heard me speak, listened to my words and thought, oh my gosh, Mick, let me help you. Let me help you win. That's not how it works. Not even close. The reality is when you're starting something new, it can be very, very lonely because the people you think are going to show up don't. The doors you think are going to open don't. It's lonely and nobody's coming for you. No one's coming to save you. Now, the reasons why people don't show up for you or don't support you vary. Some people just truly don't have room in their ecosystem to think about anyone else. Some people truthfully are so insecure that idea of helping you, it just plays into all their self-doubt. So of course, insecure people aren't going to take the time to spot a light on you when they have spent so much of their life dimming their own lights. They can't possibly shine a light on others. And some, they're so busy protecting their own seat, they are definitely not going to pull up a chair for you and make room for you. So while I'm building this movement, this community of women that open doors for each other, this utopia where I do believe collaboration and sisterhood is the way forward, the reality is that it's going to take some time to change that mindset. So when you're first starting out, the mentor you thought that would be there, the opportunities that you think that would just naturally happen, or the idea that finally someone recognizes and sees your value and your magic, it's not going to happen. Now, don't get me wrong. Of course, you'll have a few core people that will always help you out, that will support you. And if you have that, if you're lucky enough to really have that, protect it. Protect it with all you've got and really honor that, because that is very, very special. So please keep those people close to you. But I'm telling you right now, as you're starting out on a new venture or new anything, people aren't always going to be there for you, or the people you thought aren't always going to be there for you. And you have to be okay with this. I've been at this a few years now, right? Creating spaces, like having this dream to create spaces to amplify women's voices, to glow up, to be their hype girl, to create room for women to use their voice and take up space and know their worth. And I'm saying all these things that I'm thinking, oh my gosh, who wouldn't be on board with this? What a great concept. What a great vision. It's like, of course, everyone wants to be on board. Everyone wants to jump on this bandwagon, right? Guess what? That's not how it works. And that is so disappointing. So you can imagine in the beginning when people weren't there to clap it out for me, to support me, to say, oh my gosh, I love this idea. Yes, how can I help? How can I support? How can I be part of your ecosystem? It, in particular, the people close to me, it broke my heart. I was so disappointed. One of the biggest mistakes I made early on is expecting others to see the vision, others to see what lives in my heart, others to believe in my mission. But the reality is that they didn't. And a lot of people don't, and they still don't. And while I took it very personally in the beginning, and of course I felt a little bit disconnected, a little bit discouraged by not having the support that I thought I needed to be there, because I was leaning on that piece of advice. Like, people are going to open doors for you. No, 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 no. So the moral of the story is this: don't wait to get invited. Don't wait for someone to pull a seat at the table for you. You've got to build your own table. You've got to create your own space. More importantly than building your own table, you have to get really, really comfortable at sitting at that table all by yourself. Maybe for a hot minute, right? In a lot of ways, it's like you're going to keep throwing these fabulous parties and no one shows up, right? You're going to plan, you're going to prepare, you're going to create all these beautiful things, and no one's going to care. And I don't want you to, I'm not trying to discourage you. I've seen too many women who start off into the new things and they quit for this very reason, because no one shows up to the party. And I'm telling you, have the party anyway. Because if you keep having the party, keep creating the spaces, if you build the table, eventually the right people are sitting at that table. Get used to having a party of one. It will not always be this way, I promise you. And number two, this is really important. All those people that don't show up or don't buy the ticket to the event or don't do whatever it is that you're doing, let them off the hook. Honestly, it is not their responsibility to glow you up. It's not their responsibility to make sure that you are successful. In an ideal world, of course, we all need love and support and sisterhood. The right people will show up for all that. But the people who didn't, who haven't, let them off the hook. Just let them off the hook. You will be so much happier. Stop licking your wounds. Stop keeping a scoreboard of who did what and who didn't do what. And just let it go. At the end of the day, for me personally, I'd rather sit at the table by myself with my beliefs, with my visions, with my truths, if you will, with my becoming, than begging other people to join me or being resentful or holding a scoreboard. So let that go. The truth is that the table just doesn't stay empty for very long, right? It just doesn't. So your super fans, your supporters, like-minded people will absolutely show up because you know what? Like attracts like. It's a simple law of attraction. So chill. It's all good. And the reason I care so much about not following this advice is because too many women quit because they don't have this support. But don't you dare, don't you dare quit on your dreams. So whatever you're building, the new career, the new body, the new life, personal, family, whatever it is, whatever the thing you are trying to do with your life at this moment, the only person that matters, the only person you have to make sure shows up to your party is you. You are the key to all of this. Because if you are waiting on others to show up for your idea and your thing, you're doing it for the wrong reasons. You have to be the one. You are the only one that matters. You are the VIP of this party. Make that the focus, and I promise everything else will fall into place. Okay, now let's move on to the worst piece of advice, number 2. You should know your passion, your purpose immediately. Like in life, you should just know this. Okay, try telling that to a woman who's been in survival mode for the last 20 years. Try telling that to a woman who has been dimming her light to make sure everyone else around them lights up. Try telling that to, a woman who's been working and parenting and caregiving and surviving and doing all these things. One of the very first things I do when I work with women in my workshops or speaking or facilitating, whatever it is I'm doing, I always challenge women. What do you want? What do you care about? What do you believe in? And I go at them with some really tough questions. Well, they shouldn't be tough, but they are. And of course, they look at me like I have just asked them to get naked. Like they're shocked and confused. And of course they are, because they've never had the luxury of asking themselves that. Passion isn't a lightning bolt. It's a breadcrumb of trail. You have to try, you have to suck, and you have to take notice of what actually sticks. This is how we discover our purpose, our meaning. I was just listening to John Lee, who's this fantastic marketer, and he was talking about this framework that's actually quite simple for figuring shit out or accomplishing your goals or figuring out your purpose. And it really comes down to learning, doing, and failing. And put that on rinse and repeat. Learning, doing, and failing on repeat. This is how we figure it out, right? As you know, I'm a recovering sleeping beauty. I was swept away by others' lives, but I always knew there was a disconnect. Oh, a disconnect of how I was showing up in the world. Like I wasn't really being my fullest self. Like I always knew there was something more. So for a long time, all I really had was this itch, this tug, this inkling. And I finally listened to those, what I call now whispers, by leaning in. So for years, I would say, I don't know where I'm going, but I know I'm going somewhere, right? And this was my way of saying, I'm not sure yet. I don't have the clarity, but I believe in this so much, this feeling, this inkling, that I'm going to follow it. And I'm going to do it by learning, and trying and failing. So I have tried so many things, guys. I have written blogs, I've done podcasting, I've hosted events, I've partnered up with other women, I started other businesses that failed miserably, right? Oh my gosh, I've invested in shiny objects like big promises with zero delivery. And guess what? I have sucked at a lot of things. This is how I've learned. The great thing about sucking at something is that it's temporary, and usually a redirection or clarity comes from that, right? Just pay attention to it, but also notice what sticks. And from all my trial and error, from learning and trying and failing and all those things, I learned a lot about myself. So I've leaned into what works, what sticks with me. And that is in many ways the universe showing you the way. It's showing you, yep, this is the right direction. Keep going this way. The point of all of this is that the purpose, passion isn't always automatic, not for all of us. For some of us, it's just listening to those whispers, trying it out, figuring things out, and keep trying, keep evolving, and suck at things. That is the only way you're going to learn. But here's what I can promise you. You 100% absolutely have a passion, have a purpose, have a meaning for this thing called life. And for many of you, all you have to do is discover it. And once you do, everything changes. Moving on to the third worst advice that I have received, which is hard work pays off. Does it? Does it really? Think about that. Because I'm telling you right now, I have worked my ass off. And sometimes hard work just gets you tired. Hard work also gets you focused on the wrong things. Here's what I've learned. Hard work does not guarantee success. It might change your pace, it builds your muscles, but it does not make the world say yes automatically. Just consider it for a moment. Think about all the hardworking people out there. Are they automatically successful? Some of the hardest working people I know are migrant workers, for example. They're working hard. Does that not necessarily equal success? I'm not sure. So to me, hard work does not equate to success and certainly does not equate to happiness. Think about it. Your brilliant idea, the one you have obsessed over, the one you were sure everyone was going to jump on, right? Sometimes it flops. And it had nothing to do with the work you put into it. And maybe your idea is good. And maybe the world's not ready for it. Or maybe you're pitching to the wrong people. Or the idea needs to evolve. Whatever it is, your hard work doesn't always define success. Now, of course, you can't just sit around and dream up ideas. There's got to be effort behind it. So I'm not suggesting that you do not work or do not put any effort. But if you're working against resistance, for example, if you're working for burnout, that makes zero sense. Mel Robbins just had a great quote on this, and she says, hard work puts you where luck can find you. So yes, work hard, but make sure you pay attention to what you're working hard at. Okay, number 4, the worst piece of advice. Here's number 4. Plan, plan, plan. I have spent so much time on this idea of planning to be ready, be ready, be ready. The amounts of work that I've done on marketing plans, thinking about ideas, over analyzing, over research. I have spent months with color coded spreadsheets, strategy maps, business plans. I've spent months trying to think of something and then actually trying to implement it. And by the time I get to implement it, it's a no-go. But in my mind, everyone told me plan, plan, plan. Okay, not so much. I actually heard the way to do it. And this came from the Netflix co-founder, what's his name? Mark Rudolph, right? He just came out with a book that it's called That Will Never Work. And I'm paraphrasing now, of course, but his idea or his philosophy is this. The most business ideas are trash. Most ideas fail. What he's trying to say is don't get caught up in the planning of it because most ideas are shit. So instead of killing time, energy, resources, all of that, don't waste your time doing that. Instead, look for ways to take your idea and test it quickly. Test it as quickly as you can in the most economical way. And this will give you the feedback that you need to know, hey, does this make sense? Should I proceed with this? Because I know for a fact I have spent hours, I can't even tell you, especially with my old business, over analyzing, trying to learn, trying to implement, doing this for zero results. I subscribe to the false 80% planning and 20% implementation. It's actually the other way. We should be learning 20% of the time and implementing 80% of the time, and learning quickly, analyzing quickly what works and what doesn't work. The idea here is whatever you're thinking about doing, shorten the window. You have an idea, test it quickly, fail fast, fail forward fast. Get up and do it again. Get feedback quickly. And I'm not talking from your bestie here, right? Take it to the market and test it and tweak it fast. That is the key. The gap between the idea and the action, keep it as short as possible. The market will always tell you the truth. And here's the thing, there is no better time, no better time. We all have access to millions of people literally in our phones, okay? So the barrier of entry for market research is literally right here. Okay, and lastly, the worst advice I received was that you need numbers, you need visibility, you need followers. Let me say this with so much love. Followers are not customers. Followers are not community. I don't want followers. I want doers, right? I want women who are in the trenches with me, who believe in this, whether it's 10 or a million. For me, it's simple. If you're here to grow, if you're here to learn and build, you're my people. I want to be around you, right? For me, that is what matters. The rest, the followers, the numbers, let's be honest, for most of us, for many of us, it's just an illusion. It's just an illusion. Because here's what I know to be true. We are all within steps of each other, of success, whatever that means. Okay, of course, there's always going to be the Cinderella story. There's always the unicorn. There's always the ones. But all those people, all those unicorns, they all started where you and I are, with an idea. And they implemented fast and they went for it. That's the only difference. And by the way, they have failed numerous times, but they keep going. So please do not let this illusion, this number game, deter you from what lives in your heart, what you are meant to do in this world, the magic you are meant to share with the world. So there you have it, the worst advice that I got when I started my journey. People will help you and open doors, not so much. You should know your passion and purpose immediately. No. Hard work pays off. Okay, not really. And plan is the only way forward. Absolutely not. And you need followers and a huge community to get going. Absolutely not. What you need is courage. You need to take one step and then another. And all those steps will lead to clarity. They will show you the way. But mostly, you need is to believe in yourself. And I know it gets lonely, but if you believe in yourself and you believe in your mission, things will work out, because you are meant to bathe, to be anything and do everything that you desire. This is your one life. You get to do this thing called life. So let this be your permission slip to break the rules, to break the advice, build messy, move fast. I believe in you. I'm here for you. Comment below. What's the worst advice that you ever got? I want to hear. Let's grow together. Till next time, bathe, be anything, and do everything that you desire.